Hey guys, so in today's video I wanted to address a question that was posted in a CNA group that I am part of on Facebook, and I thought that it was a good topic to talk about. So I'm going to read this and then I will share my opinions with you. So this person posted, I had an aide refuse to help me answer call lights. She wanted to sit with a dying resident. A woman who had a broken femur got tired of waiting and went to the toilet by herself. Am I wrong for thinking that she put the welfare of one patient over another? So I personally can understand the conundrum. I have worked on hospice units in the past. I have worked on units that are like rehab mixed with hospice, mixed with memory care. And it's hard when you have a patient that is dying, especially if there's no family members present. You know, obviously you want to be there to support them. You don't want anybody to have to die alone. And I think that's one of the really hard parts of doing the type of work that CNAs do. However, you do have other patients to care for, and you do need to make sure that you are doing what they need or doing what you need to do in order to help them. Now, obviously, like I said, still check in with your dying patient. Make sure that you are offering them care. What I used to do, the one unit that I worked on that I said was rehab mixed with hospice, mixed with memory care, was kind of a little bit crazy, but I did have a patient who was dying at one point, and his family was unable to be there at that specific time of day because the facility was having COVID issues at the time, and that particular resident didn't have COVID, but, they weren't allowed to be there at that time because they had personally had issues with COVID as well. So the facility was not letting them in due to the fact that they had tested positive for COVID. Anyway, that's a whole long story for no reason. I sat with this person. I had told the family that they could call to ask for updates. If the nurse wasn't able to give updates, she could patch me in with them and I could give them updates, because I can only imagine how difficult it would be to not be able to sit there and be with your family member. Obviously, if you've worked as a CNA, that there are certain families that they aren't going to be there regardless. And I hate to see anybody die alone. That's one of my biggest fears, is to be put in a nursing home and kind of just thrown away and forgotten about. Because I feel like that's what a lot of families tend to do with their loved ones when it comes to nursing homes. They kind of just throw them in the nursing home, forget about them, and then they end up dying alone. But anyways, sorry. Let me get back on track. I totally understand the person wanting to be there to sit with the dying patient. However, in my own experience, like I said, you do have other responsibilities and you are responsible for taking care of your other patients. So when this person asks, am I wrong for thinking that she put the welfare of one patient over another? Not necessarily, because like I said, this person with the broken femur who got tired of waiting and went to the bathroom by herself should not have had to do that. Although I have been blessed when I worked on that unit to have people working with me that, if I told them, hey, I need to go check on this resident because he's dying and everybody knows he's actively dying, they would try to help me as much as possible so that I could spend as much time as possible with that particular resident. But at the same time, I don't expect people to do my work for me. And I don't expect people to answer my call lights, unless I'm in the middle of a complete blowout and all of that stuff. Like, I don't expect people to help me do those things. So I am very conscious of the fact that, I need to split my time up. And what I would do is I would go and check on that person who is actively dying more frequently than I would in a normal circumstance. So for example, when I do rounds on people, if they are not actively dying or confused or a fall risk, I normally check on them at least once an hour. even though technically our rounds are every 2 hours, because the nurses are supposed to check on them, but we all know that that doesn't always happen, especially in long-term care settings. So, I will normally check on somebody at least once every hour, unless it's on night shift. Then I tend to leave certain people alone unless, like I said, I know that they are confused, a fall risk, or actively dying. And normally, anytime I have free time to sit with a patient who is actively dying and has no one there with them, I will do so. But like I said, I do also stay mindful of the fact that I have other residents to care for, and I do my best to spread myself out, accordingly, so that all of my residents get the same level of care. Because I don't think it's right to prioritize just one patient, and let the care of your other patients go to the wayside. Obviously, every patient or resident should be your priority during your shift, and whoever is assigned to you deserves the best from you. So, like I said, I don't think that you're wrong for feeling that she put the welfare of one patient over another. But, I do understand wanting to sit there with a dying patient, because it is hard. It's very hard to see people dying alone. And especially if you have, created a bond with this person and you've become close to them, it makes it even harder. So let me know what you would do in this situation. Have you ever experienced this where, somebody has been sitting with a dying patient and not really helping with other patients or residents? Or have you been the person who wants to spend time with a dying resident and you either can't because you have other patients, or you may have let your care of other patients go to the wayside? It's very hard to deal with the death of a patient or to deal with a resident who is dying. Like I said, especially if you have grown close to that person, and in long-term care, it's very hard not to grow close to residents because you deal with them and care for them day in and day out. So anyways, let me know what you would have done in the situation. Do you think the person was wrong for spending more time with a dying patient than her other patients? What would you do? Let me know, and I will talk to you guys again in my next video.